This is Bernie, our new to us Burstner 744 Harmony line, and here under the driver's seat we have a 95 amp hour lead acid battery. And under the passenger seat we have the stock Electroblock EBL119, which handles the mains charging and 12 volt distribution, that kind of thing. We have an LR1218, which is a PWM solar charge controller, and we have a WA121545, which is, shout call it a booster, but it's basically a battery to battery charger, and that saves the alternator when the engine's running. Looking on the roof, it has a 100 watt solar panel feeding that LR1218 solar charge controller. We've also got aircon and a bit of spare space and a motorhome Wi-Fi 5G aerial. That 100 watt solar panel on the roof combined with the LR1218 PWM solar charge controller keeps the leisure battery nicely topped up, and so at the moment it's not a particularly sunny day, but we're up to a full charge. We've been off hookup now for 3 or 4 days, and each day even though it's not particularly nice weather outside, the combination of the two is keeping the leisure battery fully charged, and that's great for light usage, watching a bit of telly in the evening, lights, running odd electrical appliances such as recharging mobile phones, water pump, that kind of thing. No problem at all. But we've got a air conditioner and we've got a microwave, and if we want to do things like run a hairdryer, 95 amp hour leisure battery isn't going to cut the mustard. So I'm looking at what I can do about that, how I can add to it or increase it and keep it fully charged. So what's the plan? There are a number of things that I'd like to do to the van. We only have 95 amp hours of leisure battery at the moment. I'd like to increase that. We don't have an inverter, so we've got no way of charging mains devices when we're off grid. I'd like to increase the solar panel capacity. We've only got the 100 watt solar panel factory fitted at the moment. That's really not going to be big enough to recharge a larger battery bank. And at the moment we've got a PWM solar charge controller, and that isn't as efficient as a modern MPPT solar charge controller, a maximum power point tracking controller. So the first baby step that I'd like to do is to upgrade that solar charge controller. This is it. It's a Shout LA1218, and it's a neat little unit. It's capable of charging both the leisure and the engine battery, and is ideally suited for that 100 watt panel, but it's not as efficient as it could be, and so I'm going to replace that. And replacing this is an easy job because there's only a couple of connections. So what I've done is I've bought one of these. This is a Victron MPPT. It's a 7510, and this is, I think, the smallest that Victron make, but it will be ideal for that existing 100 watt solar panel. If in the future we add additional solar panels, then I'll just put another solar charge controller in parallel with this one to handle the new solar panels. You can connect solar panels of different makes and models together, different voltages, that kind of thing, but it's not ideal, and these are not terribly expensive. I actually got this one off eBay. It's the Smart Solar, so it's got the built-in Bluetooth, so it's the if you like, the more functional model than the Blue Solar, which is the smaller, cheaper one. The Blue Solars are only about £40 new. The Smart Solars are a bit more expensive, but I got this from an eBay seller who had a lot of, I think they called it engineering stock, something like that. So they were selling these for £40. So I got the Smart Solar, and as far as I can tell, brand new, hasn't been opened, hasn't been installed. All of the labels and stickers are still in there. So putting this in place of the LR1218 is going to be the first job. Going forwards, I really like the entire Victron ecosystem, all of their various bits and bobs, pieces, smart shunts, and what have you, all talk to each other and can all talk to something called a Servo GX, which can interface to the internet, and you can monitor it remotely. You can put GPS trackers on it, you can put temperature sensors and humidity sensors, you can use it to turn relays on and off, that kind of thing. So it's a really functional ecosystem of various devices. So I'm very keen on Victron. It's what we've put on the boat. So I need to address the leisure battery. We're going to need a charger. As I mentioned earlier, we're also going to need an inverter. We haven't got an inverter at the moment, and so I'm looking at Victron's range of multi-plus inverter chargers, and what I like about those is, again, they're part of the Victron ecosystem, but also they're quite a compact unit compared to a separate inverter and charger. Plus it's obviously simpler with wiring and that kind of thing. So I'm looking at the multi-plus. One of the things I really like about Victron and the whole Victron ecosystem is their documentation. I'm looking to install the Multiplus 1600, and so if you search for that and click on it and then scroll down, go to download, scroll down again, go to system schematics and download this, you get this diagram, which is an idealized installation of Victron kit, covering, well, more than I'm intending to do, but includes everything that I am intending to do. So we've got the Multiplus 1600 down here with its AC input and outputs. We've got a lead acid starter battery with a battery isolator. We've got lithium ion batteries. It shows how to fuse those, where the bus bars are, how to isolate the Multiplus, what sort of mega fuse that needs. And then we've got things like the Servo GX, the MPPT controller, solar array with isolators, and this is an Orion Smart 1212. At some point in the future I'll possibly install the Orion XS battery to battery charger, but wiring it would be exactly the same as this. So this is really, I know it's an idealized installation, but this is really a superset of everything that I'm intending to do. And there's some additional information down here about cable sizes, breaker sizes, that kind of thing. But I really don't need to look beyond this diagram for information as to what to do. As you can see, I've just connected the Victron MPPT solar charge controller temporarily using the existing wiring. I've just stuck some spade connections on it, and I've observed the German polarity, which is that blue is positive and brown is negative. Feels weird, but that's what they do. And because it's the Bluetooth model, I can then use the Victron Connect app to see what's happening. So I can see the battery voltage and the charge going in from the solar charge controller. And it's an overcast day. You can see we have a bit of sun earlier, and the output was climbing nicely, but then the clouds rolled in, and it's currently tailing off. But it's holding the battery voltage. That's the blue line. It's holding that fairly nicely. So yeah, everything looks good. So I think I'll go ahead and install this properly. Well, I've let this setup run overnight, and I'm pretty pleased with it. It's done a fairly good job. It's a really wet, dull, overcast day, but it's brought the leisure battery voltage back up from what's been used overnight. So I think it's time to install it permanently. The existing cables have spade connectors on them, and they won't go into these crimp terminals, so I need to cut and re-terminate these, and I'm going to use bootlace ferrules, which give a much better connection when crimped into this sort of terminal. So I'm going to have to cut and do those live, and I'll do the lives first. So this is the battery, cut it down there. Yeah, it's pretty meaty. There we go, cut that, strip the end of that like so. The grey bootlace ferrules look like the right size for that. They're for a 4mm cable, 4mm diameter cable, and we'll just crimp that on there. And because this is alive from the battery, just whip a bit of electrical tape round it whilst I'm working on other things. So I'll go ahead and cut all the others. That's the fourth one done. Just whip a bit of tape round that to insulate it whilst I work out how to mount the solar charge controller in there, which I'll do now. I think I'm going to mount it this way round. I can get at all the screw terminals on the top here, and importantly I can get at the VE direct port, which I'm going to need later on, I think, and I'll just need to drill a couple of pilot holes and get some self tappers in to hold this this edge down, and we should be good to go. Check there's nothing beneath here before drilling. There we go, awkward as always. Pilot holes. There we are, all in, connections made. That's got a couple of self tappers in there, and that's rock solid, and I can still get to the terminals, everything wired in, everything back working.